what would you guys think of Netflix buying theaters? And they offer marginal premium service, so you pay like, I don't know, $3 to $4 more, and now you can see there'll be subsections of movies that are first released in Netflix theaters, and so they don't come out right on Netflix. You get to go watch them as a part of your subscription, and then they come to Netflix almost like a couple weeks later, exclusive Netflix ones. Plus you still have all the other movies that are available. And Netflix as a premium service, because you're paying $4 whatever, you get to go and actually watch these movies for free, and then the other people that don't have Netflix subscriptions, they pay in the normal price, right? So that you still have that revenue coming in.
We're leaving the fact the whole thing they did was the household stuff aside for now.
What household stuff?
What household stuff?
Like the Netflix, you have to be in the actual house. And
oh right, yeah, that thing.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter because you're basically.
Well, we've canceled and we have not signed. Like we were doing like family. Like, it was like we were using like my parents, and we stopped and we're not continuing.
Right. No, and that's fair. But how is that related to this one?
Because it sounds like it'll be an add-on to your membership. I can't really add this on if I don't have a membership.
Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah, you definitely need a membership to take advantage of this. But if you were going to a theater normally, you'd just pay full price. So the experience for the average consumer that doesn't have Netflix, it doesn't change their experience of theaters.
Well, it sounded like this would be more Netflix exclusive movies.
From what I understand of the movie theater industry, is that flaw, I think, with your business plan, is that theaters don't really make money out of movies. They barely make money out of new release movies, like all the hype movies that fill up theaters. They don't really make money off the ticket sales on that. Like the clawback from movie companies is so much that not worth their cost. Like I don't even know if they break even on that. Their real money is from concession stands and like arcades. That's why they have so much of it, and that's why like a popcorn costs like $10.
Right, and this is why I think they would make money, right? Because they're gonna produce these films anyways, and they were gonna release them to Netflix users for having a subscription. But now you have a premium subscription for $4 more a month, and you get to go see these movies in theaters before everyone else, and also on the big screen, right?
Why take on the capital cost of having a theater?
Just because it will increase your monthly revenue by like $4 across all the premium users that want this service.
Think of how many.
It's a single, like for example, a theater cost. There's like a static cost essentially per month, right? And then there's like a variable cost that like they don't know how much it'll cost, right? But once they buy the theater, the variable costs are probably not as much versus the income they'll get from just the increase in revenue monthly. You know what I mean? And not everyone's gonna go watch a movie.
How many movies can I go watch? And how many people can I bring with me?
No, you all have to have
your own
subscriptions.
members. Your own?
I wouldn't. I don't see that working.
If I live at home with like 4 people, even with their new rules, we can't all come watch.
No, with the new rules, you would be able to.
We just said everyone needs their subscription
at the theaters. Not once it's released to you on Netflix, you can watch it.
No, I'm thinking at the theater. If I wanted to come to your theater.
Also, I'm gaming this out, so you guys tell me what would you want? How would this work?
Well, you're saying that instead of buying a ticket, you'd have a subscription, right?
Correct.
So then I think there is some value there, because each time you buy a ticket, it's like $10 a ticket. But if you're paying, would you say $5 a month?
Yeah,
add-on,
that
right?
was just a number I threw out. Yeah.
Yeah, $5 a month, and if I'm getting to watch even one movie or two movies, like that's $20 worth.
Yeah.
So I think someone
fair.
actually tried the subscription for movies deal, and they lost a ton of money.
Yeah,
Cineplex are doing that. No, you do pay $10 a month.
Yeah.
You get one movie.
But no. In the States, like there was like a $10 a month, and you can go to any theater and watch a movie for free.
Yeah.
Unlimited.
So they tried that.
Oh.
The problem is they aren't producing the content, and the theaters themselves are losing. Like you said, they're losing money. They don't make most of their money from the ticket sales, because that goes to the movies that the studios that produce the movie. In Netflix case, they also are the producer, and they were going to release these movies anyways on Netflix, which they still will. But it's more of like, okay, because I was thinking about this when I was watching a movie. I just watched John Wick 4, and great movie, by the way. So I went to go watch it, and I'm like, I enjoyed these movies at home watching it on my computer. But what makes this experience different? And it was, right? It's a bigger screen. The seats are like more comfortable. surround sound. All you're doing is watching the movie, right? COVID, yes, prevented us from going to movies and things like that. And I'm like, oh, what is the need? And a lot of people kind of clawed back and they're like, oh, we don't really need to watch movies in theaters. But when you do go, you're like, actually, this is a fairly enjoyable experience for a good movie, right? And so I think the experience will still be sought out after. It's an experience that people do want. And then I thought, okay, maybe like if Netflix did this, it would be a base cost. They were going to produce the movie anyways, but now they're getting a $4 increase in revenue per month for just having the option.
Cost of the movie theater.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head in that people go to the theaters for the experience, not always necessarily the movie itself, right?
Yeah.
And I think the entertainment industry sees their revenue in one way, in that like they are seeing streaming as their future for revenue, and theaters are seeing their future for profit in being the experience. That's why you have these like higher end Cineplex like experiences, like you can have a movie and a dinner. Yeah, exactly. VIP, Rumble seats,
D-Box.
3D. Exactly. All that kind of stuff. But they're not really seeing the money in the entertainment. And the entertainment is not seeing really the money in the experience, if you know what I mean.
And that's my point. I feel like if Netflix came together, they could provide both, because there's a disconnect between the experience and the people who create the content, right? Netflix would own both, right? And they can streamline the capital that they can kind of give into the experience as well as the content, right? Do you get what I'm saying? So they would make the experience tailored based on that too. Like imagine they would understand, okay, we're making this type of content now for the next, I don't know, like foreseeable future, and this screen is going to be made for that, right? So for example, remember that show where you can decide which order to play it in, and it would be a different story? Like imagine you're sitting in the theater and now the audience decides all together what experience they want to see, right? And the highest voted, they experience that.
Oh, that's cool.
Right? Or it's going to be a 3D movie and like you can add layers to that, right? And they know they have select movies for that. The reason the theaters have to make generic screen or a generic experience is because they don't know what the hell movie theaters are going to do, right? Or sorry, the movie studios are going to do. So they have to abide by a certain interface, and so that's why they can play most of those things. But if you're the content producer and the experience provider, you can essentially tailor the content to the experience as well, right? And go a level deeper.
I can imagine a Netflix executive looking at this and being like, it doesn't scale well enough for our liking, right? Because streaming is highly scalable just because of what the framework is.
That's fair. But I would argue back, and I'm going to keep playing devil's advocate until you guys either give me a really good reason or I just piss you off. So one pushback to that is there's also a lot of competition. There's Disney, there's Crave, there's Prime. This would be the next layer that nobody else has thought of yet.
Yeah, I think they did look at the other streaming options, and Netflix's play was, we're going to start offering like what's it called? Mobile games as part of your subscription. And Netflix has released some pretty garbage games, but they've also bought out like pretty fun indie games, and they have released them for subscribers on like iOS or Android.
I've never played those games, so I can't speak to them, but have you ever played any Netflix games through your Netflix app?
I have not, but I will give the caveat that like the games I have installed through Netflix are the ones I'm actually interested in playing. Like these are pretty, I can't name a big name game that they've bought out, but they do have deals to Into the Breach, which is a pretty fun indie game, and then there's like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game that they have. They even bought out like a pretty recent game that got released called Terra Nil, Moonlighter, a bunch of these indie games that they have bought the license to on mobile, and they're only available for subscribers.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess I would have to try out the games. I've never tried them out. I guess what Netflix is trying to do is they're trying to become the go-to entertainment provider, at least on your mobile, right? And they're not going to be able to take the video game industry by storm, because there's people and companies that are dedicated to game industry, right? What they did was they specialized in film content, right? And I think they should stick to that and go the lateral version of that, which is theaters, and provide that experience. In my opinion, that would be the better next step. At least try it out and see if that works, right? There was a argument I had to the initial point, but I don't know. Maybe it might.
So the one question I had was, you mentioned about with this subscription service, the movies would come out to Netflix anyways. like through the streaming service. So what's stopping me from just waiting until it comes up? I know the argument of, yeah, it's an experience going to the movie, right? You go for the experience. But what if I just wanted to just watch the movie later? That means that there would have to be some merit to going other than just the experience of going to the theater too, right?
Yeah, but generally movies eventually come out, right? Like they'll come out on Blu-ray or things along those lines. Like right after they're out of movie theaters, they still come out so you can watch it at home. And then more often than not, some of those movies do make it to these streaming services eventually, right? So it's
go ahead.
No, that's all I was gonna say.
No, I guess the argument to my own point is also a lot of people still end up going to the movies. For example, Disney and Disney Plus, right? They release their movies that they put into the theater within a couple months. It's pretty quick,
yeah.
And people still go to the theater, including myself, and the reason why is because there's the whole community aspect of certain franchises where you want to watch the movie so that you can participate in the conversations in culture, right? Like you want to participate. Oh yeah, I watched that, and that becomes the topic at, say, when you go to your friend's house, right? Hey, did you watch the last Marvel movie? All right, and then you talk about it.
Yeah,
and I think that's the argument to my point. So then there would be in that instance, then there would be a reason going to the theater to watch it there, so that you can talk about it amongst your social circle, I guess, right? And have conversations about it, and then you could watch it again later, I guess, on your streaming platform. So I guess I argued my own point.
That's actually I don't know how that would work. Is like if you had the thing, you went to go watch it, you have the ability to watch it again, maybe. I don't know. But the thing is, then people will be able to see it at home with you or something along those lines.
I'm just curious how many people would pay for something, because now that I'm thinking about it, is that you're assuming everyone would go every month to get the full value. Exactly, but they wouldn't. And I don't even think they would go twice a month, which would average out to like your average movie ticket. I think they would go like once every 3-4 months. But like when someone looks at that, they're going to be like, I don't want to pay $4 a month for something I go 4 times a year.
But think about
on top of that being like, I also have to pay for concessions to make it a full experience.
Sure, but if you think about it, like if you go to the movies 4 times a year, that's $40, right? $4 a month, around $40.
No,
right?
$4 a month
40,
is
48.
Almost 50.
Yeah, okay.
48,
right.
yeah.
Plus tax, like, you're still paying that much if you go 4 times a year, right? And so it's like now you still have the ability to go almost unlimited, pending like there's enough seats and things like that, right? And so I think the value is there for $4 for sure for the client. What I'm saying is I don't know if there's value enough for Netflix. Like, will it actually scale?
I don't think so.
I also don't think
I can understand.
I also don't think Netflix will produce enough content for people to go or be very excited to go to the theaters en masse. Like, I think Netflix's deal is to me has been, let's see how much cheaper we can produce items, because we have a fixed monthly subscription, and the less we produce content and the more we produce of it, the better. That's what our customers want, and it's better business for them.
Yeah, I don't know. I would have to look into the economics again. Like $4 did seem a bit low. It was just a random number. I think that would be something I was thinking people would be willing to pay, because if it was like 10 extra bucks, the problem is like people even if I went once a month, that just makes sense, right? But I have friends who go like 2-3 times a month, right?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't gone in a movie for a while, but how often do you guys go to movies? Maybe like 3-4 months, every 3-4 months?
Yeah,
maybe twice a
year. Twice a year.
Yeah, okay. So it's like, I don't know if it's for our crowd, I guess, in that sense. But if I had to pay, I'm personally not a huge like movie goer in general, but I know a couple friends who would actually probably pay for this because they go very often, right?
But I would think the clientele for movie theaters are mostly high school kids, aren't they? Or mostly like younger adults or teens, no?
Depends
on
the movie.
Like a hype release, like Marvel came out, or
well, like when I go to the theater, the majority of people that I would see, maybe it's because of the movies I go for, but because it's mostly Marvel movies.
You have your answer.
Huh?
You have your answer.
Yeah, but okay, no. Now when I think about it, like other movies that are non-Marvel too that I go for, I do see a lot of kids there. Like there's a lot of high school kids or university college kids that are there. And so would they be willing to be paying $4 a month? Because they wouldn't they be like
No.
who's your target audience, right?
I think it has to be on top of the Netflix subscription. So it's like I don't know if they'd be willing to pay the extra, or their parents would be willing to pay the extra $4 for them to have that. You never know though. And it's like I personally do think though is like if we have that set cost, they could have games, they could have like 3D experiences, they could have VR experiences. They could go into that market because they want to be that entertainment center, right? And if they want to, this makes sense because I feel like they need to do something. The route they took was let us limit the subscription so that only people who are at the same IP address have it. They're going after tactics that are preventing people from doing that, so they have more subscriptions. Clearly, they're looking for ideas. I feel like